Testing 1 2. Okay, that's good. Output. Let's see.
Dude, by the time you get that set up, it's gonna be over. All right, ready to go. Thank you, gentlemen, for tuning into the debate.
I named it the late debates. That's why. Let's see.
The late debate, 'cause we're late to the debate.
Yeah, the late debates. See, it's not it. It's USB. It's got to be this one. Talk. Jacob, talk.
Yes, sir. Hey.
Oh. Let's see. Okay. Does that mean the audio, this will work too? Yes, it will. Okay. All right.
Dude, can they stop talking about COVID? I want to hear about the good stuff.
All right, you're like
you all at home
live right
your
now,
health
right?
And your safety. Schools.
Am I live?
Why aren't schools
Oh, I'm
open?
live. Yeah, I'm watching
Because
live
it costs
on
a
Fox
lot
Business.
of money to
I'm
open
watching
them
Fox
safely.
News.
You know,
I might
they were
get
going to give his
cut off or
administration were going to
something.
give the teachers and school students
Go to
masks.
Fox Business
Then
so
they
we can be on the same
decided
one,
no,
man.
couldn't do that because it's not
I
a
don't know if it's the
national
same or not.
emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses.
Probably the same.
Nothing. They're closing. 1 in 6 is now gone. He ought to get on the job and take care of the needs of the American people so we can open safely.
All right, your time is up, sir. We are going to get to.
I have to respond to that.
Well, you both had 2 minutes, sir.
We ought to get on the job and take care of the needs of the American people so we can open safely.
All right, your time is up, sir. We are going to get to.
I have to respond.
Hey, Jake. Talk right now. I want to hear how it talks. I want to hear how it sounds.
Hello?
Testing 1 2 3. La la la. This is that. And this is this. That's not. Okay. All right. Bam. All right. Let's hear it. Jake. Talk right now. I want to hear how it talks. I want to hear how it sounds.
Hello?
Testing 1 2 3. La la la. This is that. And this is this. All right. It works. Yeah.
Are we
Now,
live?
how do I share it? I want to share it. What? Oh, share. Facebook.
I don't know how you share it. Dude. Joe's gonna fucking watch us watch this shit.
Wait, why I'm on Amber's? I'm on Amber's Facebook. Let me get off of that. Why are you signed in? She's always signing in my Hey, Jake, tell me if you can. There we go, yeah. Hello?
What'd you do?
Nothing.
Lori.
Love you. There you go. Oh, that's a big ass. Alright, I posted it. I think.
We build the
All right,
building and
Jake.
we get tax credits like the hotel on Pennsylvania.
Senor.
We get a massive, which by
Sorry,
the way,
man, I'm really
was
bad. I
given
can't
to me
listen to
by
you and
the
this at the same
Obama
time.
No, you're good. I'm
administration.
just telling you, like,
That.
alright, I got it
Now, the men got
officially.
fired
We're live.
right after that happened.
Right
President
now.
Biden, you want to respond?
Yeah, I do want to respond. Look, the tax.
They're just going back
code
and back, man, back
made
and
him-
forth.
Yeah.
put him in
It's
a
very
position
more
that he
fast-paced than I
pays
thought it'd
less
be.
tax than a school teacher.
Yeah, they came out
than
swinging. Trump
money a
and
school
maybe
teacher makes.
not so much Biden, but Trump just like laid everything out with the first question. It was crazy.
Biden's doing better than I thought he
And
would.
he does take
Yeah.
advantage
But
of it.
every time Trump says something while he talks, he like completely interrupts Biden. He has to like stop and think about what he
Yeah,
said.
did you hear
And
Biden
make
say,
sure that we
"Will you
invest in
shut
people
up?"
who, in fact,
Yeah,
need
he
the
said that a
help.
few times.
People out
Oh,
there
man.
need help.
But why didn't you
Ask
do it
him.
over the last 25 years?
Because
I
you
wanna-
weren't
Why didn't
president.
you do it over
Because
the
you
last
weren't
25
president
years? No,
screwing
no,
things
no.
up.
You were a senator. And
You're
by
the
way,
worst
you were a
president
vice-
America has ever had.
Hey, Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just say it, Joe. I've done more
Worst
in
president America's ever had.
7 months. I've done more than you.
His
did
hands
in
are getting really
47
pink. Look at that
years,
shot
Joe.
of his
We've
sausages,
done
dude.
things that you
He's
never
squeezing
even
that
thought
table
of,
hard.
including
Gentlemen.
fixing the broken military that you gave me, including taking care of
We're
your
talking,
vets.
Mr. President, we're
That's a
talking about the
slay.
economy. I'd like to ask you
Dude,
about
he's
your
slaying
plans
him.
going forward, because, Mr. Vice President, your economic plan, if you were to be
Yes,
elected
ma'am.
president, focuses a lot on big government, big taxes, big spending. I want to focus first on the taxes. You propose more than $4 trillion over a decade in new taxes on individuals making more than $400,000 a year and on corporations. President Trump says that that kind of an increase in taxes is going to hurt the economy as it's just coming out of a recession.
Well, just take a look at what is the analysis done by Wall Street firms. Points out that my economic plan would create 7 million more jobs than his in 4 years, number one.
7
And number
million.
two, it would create an additional $1 trillion in economic growth because it would be about buying America.
Oh, wait.
We're going to make this federal government.
I have to, I'm gonna put this
$600 billion
overlay
a
on.
year on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like.
Boom.
And under
This
my
makes it mine.
proposal, We're going to make sure that every penny of that has to be made by a company
But
in
respectfully,
America.
sir, I'm talking about
I have my
taxes, not
little
spending.
logo.
Well, by the way, I'm going to eliminate a significant number of the tax. I'm going to make the
On the bottom
corporate tax
right.
28%. It
Nice.
shouldn't be 21%. You have 91 companies, in the Fortune 500 who don't pay a single penny in tax, making billions of dollars.
Why didn't you do it
Billions
before
of
when
dollars.
you were vice president
Because
with Obama?
Because you, in fact, passed that. That was
That's right.
your
I got
tax
it.
proposal.
I got it done. And you know what happened?
you got it done.
Our economy boomed
And,
like it's never boomed.
The
before.
economy is
Mr.
busted.
President,
Let me
wait, no,
finish.
Mr. President, let me pick up on that. You would continue your free market approach, lower taxes, more deregulation, correct?
Not lower taxes for the American people.
But let me.
Excuse me.
But in Obama's, you talk about the economy booming. It turns out that in Obama's final 3 years as president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slowest recovery economic recovery since 1929. It was the slowest.
Did you hear
recovery.
Biden's exhale?
Also, they took over something
Dude,
that was
yeah.
down here. All you had to do was turn on the lights and you pick up a lot. But they had
think
the
that was
slowest
actually,
economic
I think
recovery.
it was actually him
since
shooting up again when the
1929.
camera
Let me
wasn't
tell you
on
about
him.
the stock market. When the
was
stock
feeling
market
good.
goes up, that
Oh.
means jobs. It also means 401ks. If you got in, if you ever became president with your ideas, you want to terminate my taxes, I'll tell you what, you'll lose half of the companies that have poured in here will leave, and plenty
Half
of
of the
companies that are
companies-
already here, they'll leave for
hardly any
other
companies
places.
have
They will
poured in
leave,
here.
and you will have a
Have it.
depression, the likes
that-
of which you've never seen.
Look,
Never
we
seen.
inherited the worst recession short of a depression in American history. I was asked to bring it back. We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs you're talking about. We handed him a booming economy. He blew it.
It wasn't
He blew it.
booming.
He
It
blew it.
wasn't booming. It was the weakest recovery
Well, sir, is it
since
fair to wait?
$1929.
Is it fair to say he blew it when, in
When
fact,
COVID came in.
when there was record low unemployment
Yeah.
before COVID?
Yeah, but because what he did, even before COVID, manufacturing went in the hole. Manufacturing went in the hole.
Excuse
number
me,
one.
Chris. Wait.
Number two.
Chris,
Number three.
They said it would take. No, you're on number two.
No.
Chris, they said it would
This
take a
guy.
miracle to bring back
Wait, what
Did you hear what he
manufacturing.
said?
I brought back 700,000
Did you hear what he
jobs.
said?
They
What
brought back
happened?
Nothing. They gave up on
Dude, he-
manufacturing.
Biden was
Not
giving his
standing
like
fair.
his
I'm
answers
the
at
guy
number
who
one,
gave up on
and then he said it, and then he
We
was gonna
brought
go like number
back- I
two,
was asked
and
to
then
bring
Trump
back
interrupted. Was like, no, you're
Chrysler
number
John
two, and then he
Moore,
like
brought him
started
back
talking.
right here in the state of Ohio, Michigan. He blew it.
Man,
number
I need to
two.
start paying attention. I was trying to.
And in fact, they're going.
Ohio had the best year it's ever had last year. Michigan had the best year they've ever had.
That is not
Many
true.
car companies came in
Never.
from Germany,
haven't-
went to Michigan, went to Ohio.
No.
And they didn't come in with you.
Mr. Vice President, go ahead.
And so you take a look at what he's actually done. He's done very little. His trade deals are the same way. He talks about these great trade deals. You know, he talks about the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit with China now than we did before. We have the highest trade deficit
China
with
ate
Mexico.
your lunch,
All
down
right, gentlemen,
18%.
in-
China ate your lunch, Joe, and
but-
no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of
Biden
dollars.
looks like he's just
takes
getting
out
really
billions
sleepy.
of dollars to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also, so while we're at it, Why is it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million?
That's
What
not
did he
true.
do to deserve it?
That
What
is
did he do with Burisma
none
to
of that-
deserve
Wait,
$183,000?
None
You've
of
asked
that
a
is
question,
true.
let him answer.
None of that is true. It's
Oh, really?
been
He didn't
totally,
get
But no,
$3.5
hey,
million?
Mr. President,
It's
Mr.
totally-
President, please. You've
totally
asked a question.
discredited. Totally discredited. And by the way,
Well, wait,
Dude,
he
Trump
got
is getting
$3.5
pretty
million
bad.
Yeah.
Mr.
What?
Vice-
He got
Mr.
$3.5
President,
million.
Trump's getting pretty
it is
mad,
not
man.
true.
Yeah, he's just like a dog without a leash right now.
It's an open
I
discussion.
know, he needs to like chill out a little bit.
Because there's plenty more time. You know, I feel like he's just going way too hard right now.
Discredited.
I feel like he's been holding us back for a long time.
I feel like it's gonna make Biden look like the old man who needs to be saved. It's like everybody's gonna feel bad for Biden now just because of Trump.
Let him answer.
And this is probably a good
He doesn't want the
strategy.
answer because he knows I have the truth.
On
And
Biden's
his
part.
position has been totally, thoroughly discredited.
who?
And
The
Ukraine.
media?
By everybody. Well, by the
By the
media,
media,
by our
because they refuse to
allies, by
talk
the
about it
world
because they're
banks.
bad.
Definitely not helping him be a
by
president,
everyone
though.
Has discredited. Matter of
The
fact-
silence
matter
is
of
so
fact,
funny.
Even
Mr.
the
President,
people who
please stop.
testified under oath.
So let me
under
ask you
oath,
this,
under-
Joe.
under
No, no,
oath.
go ahead, Mister. I'm
Every-
listening to
even the
you.
people under.
He got
I'm
$3.5
listening.
million
testified,
from Moscow.
he testified
What are you
under
talking
oath of his
right now?
administration, said, I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I did
really?
it
I'd like to know
honorably.
who they are.
Well, I'll give you the
Who
list
they
of the
are?
people
Who are
testified.
they?
Go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a
Some
good
because
job.
Some people don't
Well,
do a good
here's
job. With you,
Go
they
ahead.
say
You
they
get
do.
the, wait a minute. You get the final word, Mister.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this.
Hey,
this
let me just
person.
say, Joe.
No, no, no. I'm
No.
Mr. President.
$3.5
I'm Mr.
million,
President.
Joe.
That is simply.
Why did
not
he
true.
deserve $3.5 million
It
from
did-
Moscow?
Look, here's the deal. We want to talk about families.
Joe's been
and
talking a
ethics.
lot about the
I
deal.
don't want to do that.
I wonder what the
I mean,
deal
his
is.
family we could talk about all night. His family's
My
already.
family,
No, no, let him go.
my
Let-
family
already
lost
wrote.
a fortune by
Go ahead.
coming down and helping
Go
us
ahead.
with
Go ahead,
government.
sir.
And that's
Every-
such a.
they're right
Go
here.
ahead, Mr.
That's such
President.
a
Every
great.
single one of them lost
This
a
is not
fortune
about
by
President.
my
coming and
family or
helping
his
us with
family. It's
government.
about your family,
They
the
didn't put
American
$3.5
people.
million
He
dollars
doesn't.
out.
That's not true. It doesn't want to talk about what you need. You, the American people. It's about you. That's what we're talking about
you
here.
should
All right, that's
Not
the end
about
of the,
here.
that's the end of the
Shouldn't have
segment.
taken the money.
We're moving on.
He didn't take them.
Well,
Vice
it's a very-
President,
but Chris,
no,
Can I
ex-
be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
No, I-
He
I-
stood
good.
up.
No,
he stood up,
the answer to
and
the
he
question is
threatened
no.
Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion,
Sir,
if you
that
don't get rid of
is
the
If you're-
trust.
you know what? You're,
absolutely
wait,
not
stop.
You're on
true.
tape
You're,
doing it.
you're going to
Not
have,
tape.
True.
gentlemen.
Is-
I hate to raise my voice,
He's
but
on
it seems
tape.
to be. Why should I be different than the two of you? So here's the
Got a
deal.
good point.
He's
have-
getting mad.
Yeah, I know. It's
Six
so
seconds.
hard being
The
a
end of
moderator.
that
Good
segment, We're
God.
going to go to the next segment. In that
This is
segment,
hard to watch,
you each are
actually.
gonna have
It
a
is.
uninterrupted
It is very hard to
Like,
watch.
I've not
In
got
those two
anything from
uninterrupted
either of them
minutes,
because they're
Mr.
just
President,
arguing.
You can say anything you want.
It's mostly Trump. I'll
I
be
can ask
honest.
a
It's
question
mostly
about
Trump.
race,
It
but if
is
you
mostly
wanna
Trump.
answer
He's
Sure.
interrupting
something
way
else,
too
go
much.
ahead.
I mean,
But
his
He's looking
points
at
are
it.
legitimate. I
Truth
think
would be
like
better
he brings up
served
good points, but he just
He's
interrupts
saying-
too
he's
much.
saying
People to
them-
speak
He's saying them
with
to,
fewer interruptions. I'm
to,
appealing to you, sir, to do that.
like
Him too.
what's the
Well,
word?
frankly, you've been
to-
doing more interrupting
like-
That's
than
all
he
right,
has.
but he does plenty.
With
On the
anger, he's saying
offense?
Less
them,
than, sir,
he's
less
saying
than
them too
no, less
ferociously.
than-
Aggressively?
Let's please
Yeah,
continue
aggressively.
on.
Saying them too aggressively.
The
Yeah.
issue of race. Vice President Biden, you say that
Oh, here we go.
President
Here we go.
Trump's response to the violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when he talked about very fine people on both
Now
sides,
Trump needs to just be quiet
This
and let him
will
speak,
directly
and then
lead
rebut
you-
right after.
to launch this run for president.
Oh, yeah, sure.
President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for black Americans than any president, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. My question for the two of you is, why should voters trust you rather than your opponent?
What a claim.
to deal
Abraham
with the
Lincoln?
racism
Yeah.
facing this country over the next 4
Bringing
years?
it way back.
Vice President Biden, you go first.
It's about equity.
I disagree.
It's
I disagree.
about
No.
decency.
I disagree.
It's about the Constitution.
My opponent
And
is
we've
wrong.
never walked away from trying to require equity for
Uh-oh.
everyone,
Uh-oh.
equality for the whole of America.
Uh-oh. He's breaking down.
Equity?
We've never
What the fuck
accomplished
breaking
is
down.
equity?
We've never
Does he mean
walked away
equality?
from it like he has done. It is
He meant
true. The
equality,
reason I've
right?
gotten the
I don't
racism
know.
from
No,
those
they
people
use
is
the same
lies.
words,
Remember
like
what those
equity
people
and
were
equality.
coming out of the
Yeah.
fields
I don't
carrying
think equity is the
torches,
same as
their
equality. It
veins
might be. I don't
It's
know.
in the same realm. Like they're
spewing-
talking about like
just spewing
equal
Sounds the
outcome.
same.
That's
bile,
equity, I
Okay.
think.
accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed, and they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on both sides. No president has ever
Finish
said
the
anything
statement.
like that.
Finish the
It's,
statement.
It is who's
now,
who in
second,
it, sir.
second point I'd make to you is that when Floyd was killed, when Mr. Floyd was killed, there was a peaceful protest in front of the White House. What did he do? He came out of his bunker, had the military use tear gas on him so he could walk across to a church and hold up a Bible. And then what happened after that? The bishop of that very church said that it was a disgrace. The general who was with him said all he ever wants to do is divide people, not unite people at all. This is a president who has used everything as a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred, racist division. This is a man who, in fact, you talk about helping African Americans. 1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus. And if he doesn't do something quickly, by the end of the year, 1 in 500 will have been killed. 1 in 500 African Americans. This man is a savior of African Americans. This man cares at all. This man's done virtually nothing. Look, the fact is that you have to look at what he talks about. You have to look at what he did. And what he did has been disastrous for the African American community.
So,
President Trump, you have 2 minutes. Why should Americans trust you over your opponent?
he did a crime bill, 1994.
Are you
where
live
he
streaming?
called them
Yep,
super
yep,
predators.
I'm live.
African
Anybody even
Americans are
watching it?
super predators.
I
and
saw
they've never
two.
forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
Maybe
No,
two?
sir, it's his 2 minutes.
So you
What?
did that, and they
Maybe-
called you
oh,
super
no, one
predator,
person.
I'm letting people out of jail
Is it
now
yourself?
that
And it's
you have
probably
treated the
Amber.
African American population community. You
If
have
you
treated
want
the
to,
black
you could
community
probably share
about
it.
as
I don't
bad
know.
as anybody in this country. You did the 1990, and that's why if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time because they saw what you did. You call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that because you look back at your testimony over the years, you've called them a lot worse than that. As far as the church is concerned, and as far as the generals are concerned, we just got the support of 250 military leaders and generals, total support. Law enforcement, almost every law enforcement group in the United States. I have Florida, I have Texas, I have Ohio, I have Portland. The sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump. I don't think you have any law enforcement. You can't even say the word law enforcement because if you say those words, you're going to lose all of your radical left supporters. And why aren't you saying those words, Joe? Why don't you say the words law enforcement? Because you know what? If they called us in Portland, we would put out that fire in a half an hour, but they won't do it because they're run by radical left Democrats. If you look at Chicago, if you look at any place you want to look, Seattle, they heard we were coming in the following day and they put up their hands and we got back Seattle. Minneapolis, we got it back, Joe, because we believe in law and order, but you don't. The top 10 cities and just about the top
His
40
hands are
cities
really pale.
are run by Democrats and in many cases
It's like someone else's hand.
radical left, and they've got-
There's
There's like someone behind him. There's someone behind him because his back is so big. It looks like that.
Dude, he be doing his fucking every morning. He takes 6 cup of coffees and does like a
All right.
thick ass
I
deadlift
want
session.
to return to
Look
the
at his back,
question
man.
of race.
Back's thick as
Vice
hell.
President Biden, after the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case, decided not to charge any of the police.
Look how Trump's poking his
with
ass out.
homicide. You said it raises
He
the
always
That's my
stands for
president.
quote,
That's my
whether
president. Ooh.
justice
That's America's
could be
ass.
equally applied in America. Do you believe
He's got America's
there is a
ass, and
separate,
Captain America's got
unequal system
Captain.
of justice for
He's
blacks
got
in this
American
country?
stick.
Yes, there's systemic injustice in this country, in education and work
Uh-oh.
and in law enforcement. And
Same
the
guy
way
that
in
said
which
he
it's
didn't want his kids to grow up in a
But
racial
look,
jungle.
The vast majority of police
He was talking
officers
about,
are good, decent,
diversifying
honorable men and
schools.
women.
Yeah.
They risk their lives every day to take care of us. But there are some bad apples. And when they occur, when they find them, they have to be sorted out. They have to be held accountable. They have to be held accountable. And what I'm going to do as President of the United States is call together an entire group of people at the White House, well, everything from the civil rights groups to the police officers, the police chiefs, and we're going to work this out. We're going to work this out so we change the way in which we have more transparency in when these things happen. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to George Floyd. These cops aren't happy to see what
He
happened
almost said
to
Cox.
Breonna Taylor.
These cocks
Most
are
don't
happy.
like
These
it.
cocks aren't-
But we have to have a system
Cox.
where people are held accountable.
just stops.
And by the way, violence in response is never appropriate. Never appropriate. Peaceful protest is. Violence is never appropriate.
All right,
What is peaceful
President-
protest? When they run through the middle of the town
President Trump-
and burn down your
President Trump,
stores
I-
and kill people
President
all over
Trump-
the place,
That
and you
is
say
not
peaceful
peaceful
protest?
President
No,
Trump,
it's
I'm not
not, but
asking-
you say it is.
I did
President
not
Trump,
say
I'd
it.
like to continue with the
Yes,
issue
go
of
ahead,
race. I
please.
promise we're going to get to the issue of law
Yes,
and
go
order
ahead.
in a moment. This month, your administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training? And do you
Whoa.
believe that there is systemic racism?
Looks like Trump was
in this
gonna interrupt
country,
him.
sir?
I ended
How
it
fast that
because
hand
it's
went up.
Racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution that was taking place in our military, in our schools, all over the place, and you know it, and so does everybody
what
else,
is radical
and he would know.
What is
Oh, it was
radical
totally
about
racist.
racial sensitivity training?
Good,
If
good,
you
good. 'Cause I
were
got
a
one person
certain
watching. I don't know who it is.
You had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal.
I'm not watching it.
And if you look at the people, we were paying people
I don't think
hundreds
so.
of thousands
I don't
of
think it would
dollars
count myself.
to teach very bad ideas and frankly very
Yeah,
sick
hopefully.
ideas. And really, they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen. We have to go back to the core values of this country. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place, it's a racist place, and they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm
No
not going to
one
allow that to happen.
Vice President Biden?
Nobody's doing that. He's
Oh,
the
you-
racist.
You just don't.
Here's the deal. I
He's-
know a lot
he's
more
the
about
racist.
this than he
You
does.
Let him finish.
The fact is that there is racial insensitivity. People have to be made aware of what other people feel like, what insults them, what is demeaning to them. It's important to people know they don't want to. Many people don't want to hurt other people's feelings, but it makes a big difference. It makes a gigantic difference in the way a child is able to grow up and have a sense of self-esteem. It's a little bit like how this guy and his friends look down on so many people. They look down their nose on people like Irish Catholics like me and grew up in Scranton. They look down on people who don't have money. They look down on people who are of a different faith. They look down on people who are a different color. In fact, we're all Americans. The only way we're going to bring this country together is bring everybody together. There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together. We can take this on and we can defeat racism
Vice
in America.
President Trump, sir.
During the Obama-Biden administration, there was tremendous division. There was hatred. You look at Ferguson. You go to many places. Look at Oakland. Look what happened in Oakland. Look what happened in Baltimore. Look what happened. Frankly, it was more violent than what I'm even seeing now.
Oh, my
but the
Lord.
reason
This
is
is
that
ridiculous.
the Democrats that run these
Absolutely
cities
ridiculous.
don't want to talk like you about law and order.
Violent
and you
crime-
still haven't mentioned.
violent
Are you in
crime.
favor of law and order?
I'm in favor of law. You follow
Are you in
it, and a little
favor
bit
of
of
law
order.
and order? Go
Yes,
ahead,
I'm
say
in
it.
favor.
You
Everybody's
asked a
in favor
question,
of
let him finish.
Law
He
and order.
loses
Law
left.
and
Let
order.
him- let him answer.
Law and order with justice, where people get treated fairly. And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 15% in our administration.
All right.
It's gone up on his watch.
Went down
He-
much more
he
in
had-
ours.
All right, we're
He-
down.
he-
You're,
he-
Mr.
he-
President,
he-
you're
he-
going
of America.
We
Mr.
were
President,
breaking every record in the book.
Mr. President, you're going to be very happy because
And the
we're now going to
places-
talk about law and order.
Places we had trouble were Democratic-run cities.
That's
and
exactly my question.
Democratic-
There has been a dramatic increase in homicides in America this summer, particularly, and you often blame that on Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, but in fact, there have been equivalent spikes in Republican-led cities like Tulsa and Fort Worth. So the question is this really a party issue?
I think it's a party issue. You can bring in a couple of examples, but if you look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53 people were shot and 8 died shot. If you look at New York, where it's going up like nobody's ever seen anything, the numbers are going up 100, 150, 200%. Crime.
Republican
It is
cities.
crazy what's going on. And he doesn't want to say law and order because he can't, because he'll lose his radical left supporters. And once he does that, it's over with. But if he ever got to run this country and they ran it the way he would want to run it, we would have
We would
our
run it
suburbs
the
would be
way-
gone. By the way,
Suburbs.
our suburbs would be gone. And you would see problems like you've
He
never
would
seen.
know a
before.
suburb unless he took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know suburbs.
He would not.
So much
I was
better.
raised.
Go ahead.
I was,
Wait a minute.
I was
So much
raised in the suburbs. This is not 1950. All these dog whistles and racism.
Biden
don't
would
work
know.
anymore. Suburbs
He was in
are
the
by and
50s.
large integrated. There's many people today driving their kids to soccer practice and/or to black and white and Hispanic in the same car as there have been any time in the past. What really is a threat to the suburbs and their safety is his failure to deal with COVID. They're dying in the suburbs. His failure to deal with the environment. They're being flooded. They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything.
Dude, I
That's
forgot
why
you
the
even in the
suburbs
call,
are
bro.
in trouble.
I do want to talk about this issue of law and order, though.
I've been into it,
in
man.
the joint
I know.
recommendation that came from the Biden-Bernie Sanders task force, you talked about, quote, reimagining policing. First of all, what does reimagining policing mean, and do you support?
It means
Let me, if I might finish the question.
Uh-oh.
What does reimagining policing mean, and do you support the Black Lives Matter
Oh, here we go.
call
For
for
defunding the police?
for community control of policing?
Come on, say it.
what I
Defund
support
the
is
police. That's the real
police
thing.
having the opportunity to deal with the problems they face.
Yep.
And I'm
what
I'm
it is.
totally opposed to
Kinda like
defunding
walked
police
around that.
officers. As a matter of fact, local police, the only one defunding it, his budget calls for a $400 million cut in local law enforcement assistance. They need more assistance. They need, when they show up for a 911
now he's saying
call, to have someone
he
with them
wants
as a
to fund
psychologist or
police.
psychiatrist to keep them from having to use force and be able to talk people down. We have to have community policing like we had before, where the officers get to know the people in the communities. That's when crime went down. It didn't go up, it went down. And so we have to be engaged.
That's not what
in
they're
prevent-
talking about,
That's-
Chris. That's
well,
not what
that-
they're talking.
that's
He's talking
exactly-
about defunding the police.
That is not true.
He doesn't have any law
Would you-
support.
look,
He has no law enforcement
That's not
support.
true.
Almost
That's
nothing.
not. Look,
Oh, really? Who do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you. Go
Look,
ahead.
look.
Think. We have time.
we don't have time to do
No,
anything.
We don't have time.
We have plenty of time.
He said we don't have time.
We don't
I'm
have.
gonna
We
take
don't have the time.
Moderators
I
are
don't
all-
think
and
there
I
are
want-
any.
and I want to get to another subject, which is the issue of protests in many cities that have turned violent. In Portland, Oregon, especially, we had more than 100 straight days of protests, which I think you would agree. You talk about peaceful protests. Many of those turned
They're not
into
peaceful.
riots. Mr. Vice President, you say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question I have, though, is as the Democratic nominee, and earlier tonight you said that you are the Democratic Party right now, have you ever called the Democratic mayor of Portland or the Democratic governor of Oregon and said, hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard, do whatever it takes, but you stop the days and months of violence in Portland?
I don't hold public office now. I am a former vice president. I've made it clear. I've made it clear in my public statements that the violence should be prosecuted. It should be prosecuted, and anyone who commits it
But
should
you've
be
never
prosecuted.
called for the people,
He's never
the
said
leader. Excuse me, sir. You had never called for the leaders in Portland and in Oregon to call
Because
bring
they-
in the National Guard and knock
Well,
off 100 days of riots.
They can, in fact, take care of it if he just stay out of the way. Look here.
Oh, really?
Here,
Oh, really?
here's the
But
thing.
No,
I
that-
sent
sir,
in
no,
the
wait, I
U.S.
asked him a
Marshals to
question.
get the killer
No,
of the
that-
young man in the middle of the street. They shot him, and
Right.
for 3
Mr.
days,
President Trump,
Portland
President
wouldn't do
Trump,
anything. I
please
had to send
interrupt
in
and-
the U.S. Marshals.
President
They
Trump,
took care of business.
Go ahead,
And,
sir.
and by the way, you know, his own former spokesperson said, you know, riots and chaos and violence help his cause. That's what this is all about.
I don't know who said that.
I do.
Who?
I think Kellyanne Conway.
I don't think she said.
She said that.
I don't-
And so here's the
All right.
But here's the point.
Go
The
ahead,
point
sir.
is that that's what he is keeps trying to rile everything up. He doesn't want to calm things down. Instead of going in and talking to people and saying, let's get everybody together, figure out how to deal with this. What's he do? He just pours gasoline in the fire constantly,
And-
every single solitary
Okay,
time.
and to end this, button up this segment, I'm going to give you a minute to answer, sir. You have repeatedly
Well, wait, I
criticized.
have to answer his
No,
statement.
you have
His statement.
repeatedly.
Wait,
you have
just one
repeated. No,
second.
you've been talking
He
back
made
and
a
forth.
statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to
you know,
end it.
sir.
I would love to end it, and
You
we
know, if
would
you want to
very-
switch seats,
We would very quickly.
We can do that, but
I'd
I'm
send
no,
in
I'm-
the National Guard, it would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay,
But they
good.
don't want to accept the National Guard.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing
That's right.
extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha
Sure.
and as we've seen in Portland.
Sure,
Are you
I'm willing
prepared
to
to
do that,
specifically
but
do it?
Well,
I
go
would
ahead,
say I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right
So
wing.
what are you
If
saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see
Well,
peace.
then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
You want to call them? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name. Go ahead.
supremacists and
Who would
right
you like me to
supremacists.
condemn?
White
Proud Boys.
supremacists and right wing
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem.
His
This
own
is a left-wing.
FBI director
This
said
is a
the threat
left-wing
of
Go ahead,
problem.
white
Go ahead, sir.
supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
you gotta be
Not
kidding.
militia. That's what his
It's an idea.
FBI, his
Okay.
FBI director
Gentlemen,
said.
Well,
we're
then
gonna-
you know what?
No,
He's
no,
wrong.
we're done, sir. We're moving on to the next. We're
Everybody
When
gives
a
you
bat
advice
hits
in
you
your
over the head, that's
administration.
not an idea.
Everybody in
Antifa
your
is bad.
administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no ideas.
Antifa is a dangerous
All right,
radical
gentlemen, we're
group.
now moving on to the Trump
And
and
you ought to be
Biden
careful with
records.
them. They'll overthrow you.
When
in
a
2
president,
seconds.
I'm going to ask a question. When the president seeks a second term,
Sassy,
it
man.
is generally a referendum on his
Sassy.
record. But
He
Vice
kinda has
President
to,
Biden,
though.
you like to quote one of your dad's sayings, which is, "Don't compare me."
That's gotta be
to
a
the
tough
Almighty,
job, though.
Compare me
Jeez.
to the alternative. And in this case, sir, you are the alternative. Looking at both of your records, I'm going to ask each of you, why should voters elect you president over your opponent? In this segment, President Trump, you go first, 2 minutes.
Because there has never been an administration or president who has done more than I've done in a period of 3.5 years. And that's despite the impeachment hoax. And you saw what happened today with Hillary Clinton, where it was a whole big con job. But despite going through all of these things, where I had to fight both flanks and behind me and above, there has never been an administration that's done what I've done. The greatest, before COVID came in, the greatest economy in history, lowest unemployment numbers. Everything was good. Everything was going. And by the way, there was unity going to happen. People were calling me for the first time in years. They were calling and they were saying, it's time maybe. And then what happened? We got hit, but now we're building it back up again. A rebuilding of the military, including Space Force and all of the other things. A fixing of the VA, which was a mess under him. 308,000 people died because they didn't have proper health care. It was a mess. And we now got a 91% approval rating at the VA, our vets. We take care of our vets. But we've rebuilt our military. The job that we've done, and I'll tell you something, some people say maybe the most important. By the end of the first term, I'll have approximately 300 federal judges and Court of Appeals judges, 300, and hopefully 3 great Supreme Court justices. That is a record, the likes of which very few people, and you know one of the reasons I have so
Possibly
many
the biggest
judges?
record
Because President
ever
Obama
made.
and him left me 128 judges to fill. When you leave office, you don't leave any judges. That's like, you just don't do that. They left 128 openings, and if I were a member of his party, because they have a little different philosophy, I'd say if you left us 128 openings, you can't be a good president, you can't be a good vice president. But I want to thank you, because it gives us almost, it'll probably be above that number by the end of this term.
Fine, sir.
300 judges. It's a record.
Looking at both your records, why should voters elect you president as opposed to President Trump?
this
You have 2
president-
minutes uninterrupted.
Under this president, we become weaker, sicker, poorer, more divided, and more violent. When I was vice president,
Dude, how long are these
we
debates,
inherited a
man?
recession.
I don't know. I hope
was
a
asked
long
to fix
time.
it. I did.
I'm
We
enjoying
left
them.
him a booming
I am
economy,
too, but I'm also
and
tired.
he
I got up at
caused
like
a
6 in the
recession.
morning.
With regard to being
You got to go to
weaker,
work in the morning?
the fact is
Yeah,
that
dude,
I've
man.
gone head to head
Oof.
with Putin and made it clear to him we're
You gonna
not
watch him all the way
take any
through?
of his stuff. He's Putin's puppy. He still
Pretty
refuses
fucking-
to
He's
even
Putin's
say
puppy.
anything to Putin about the bounty on the heads of
That's a
American
good phrase.
soldiers.
Your son got
And-
$3.5
No.
million.
That's right.
Mi-
And
Mr.
by the way,
President,
my son-
wait a minute. Mr. President, your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2-minute answers
Oh.
uninterrupted. Well, your side agreed to it, and why don't you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
He never keeps his word. Can
Because-
you add
No,
back, sir?
He's
I'm
a
not
person
asking.
that's
That was a
not-
rhetorical question.
But stop. Stop.
Yes.
Biden's like, I
So,
don't,
third,
what am I doing?
We're poor. The billionaires.
He
have
thinks
gotten
he's
much-
getting yelled at, you
much
know?
more wealthy by a tune of over $300 to $400 billion more. just since COVID,
I feel like
you
Chris
and
Wallace
the
is getting
whole
mad.
got less.
Yeah.
You're in more trouble than you were before.
He's gonna put Trump in
terms of
timeout.
being more
I mean, I did the same thing.
When we were
You
in
know what?
office, there
You
was
don't get your 2 minutes.
15% less
He's
violence in
fighting for 2
America
minutes.
than there is today.
He's gonna have a
He's
hissy fit.
president of the
But I
United
want
States.
my 2
It's on
minutes.
his and with regard to more divided, the nation
Joe Biden's
can't
like-
stay divided. We can't be this way. And speaking of my son, the way you talk about the military, the way you talk about them being losers and being and just being suckers. My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze
Come on.
Star. He got the Conspicuous Service
Get your
Medal.
words out.
He was not a loser. He was a patriot. And the people left behind there were heroes.
Really?
And I resent
Are you talking
like
about
hell.
Hunter? Are you talking about
I'm
Hunter?
talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're
I
talking
don't know.
about
I don't
Baylor.
know, Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah, you
Hunter
know
got
Bo.
thrown. Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He
For
wasn't dishonorably.
cocaine use, and he didn't have a job until you became vice president. And once you
None of
became
that
vice
is
president,
true.
he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
That is simply
and various
not
other places.
true.
He
My
made
son,
a fortune,
my son,
and he didn't have a job.
my son, like a lot of people,
My son.
like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it.
And he may have had a hooker problem too, but that's besides the point.
All right.
But he wasn't given
All right.
tens of millions of
He was
dollars.
given
That
tens
is
of
totally,
millions of
that's been
dollars.
totally
President Trump,
discredited.
we've already been
Totally discredited.
We've already been through this. I think the American people would rather hear about more substantial
So do I.
subjects. Well, you know, as the moderator, sir, I'm going to make
I know,
a
but when
judgment call
somebody
here.
gets $3.5 million
Okay,
from
great.
the
Let's talk
mayor
about-
of Moscow,
let's
That
talk
is
about-
not
I think
true.
it's a
Gentlemen,
That
terrible thing.
report is totally
Why did he get it?
discredited.
I
Mitt
think-
Romney
Why
on
did he
that
get
committee
it?
said it wasn't worth taxpayers' money, that report. It was written for political
Will Biden
reasons.
ever
You know,
answer the question?
I'd like to talk about climate change.
So would I.
Okay. The forest fires in the West are raging now. They have burned millions of acres. They have displaced hundreds of thousands of people. When state officials there blame the fires on climate change, Mr. President, you said, I don't think the science knows. Over your 4 years, you have
Hey,
pulled
real
the
quick,
U.S.
Paul,
out of the
before I go
Paris
off.
Climate Accord. You have rolled back
Sure.
a number of Obama environmental
They're starting talking
records.
about wildfires now.
What do you believe about the science of climate change?
Yeah, screw this debate. I'm
What
gonna
will you
mislead
do
everybody
in
who's
the next
watching,
4
which is
years
probably
to
like
confront it?
negative
I
one
want
person.
Crystal clean
Damn,
water
they banned
and
your
air.
shit.
I want
And they
beautiful
banned you.
clean air. We have now the lowest.
what was that
carbon.
gig-
If
that
you look
update
at
for?
our numbers right now,
It was season 6.
we are doing phenomenally.
Season 6?
But I
How
haven't
big is it?
destroyed
This
our
game is like
businesses.
500
Our
gigabytes at
businesses
this point.
aren't put out of
Yeah,
commission.
it's like
If you look
3
at the Paris
terabytes.
Accord, it was a
Are you serious?
disaster from our standpoint.
No.
And people are
I'm about to say,
actually
'cause I ain't got
very
you
happy
terabytes,
about
so
what's
where's it
on
going?
because our
Where is it
businesses are
going?
doing well. As far as the fires are concerned, you need forest management in addition to everything else. The
Dude,
forest
you missed the good
floors
parts
are
of the bears
loaded
at
up
the
with
beginning.
trees,
Dude.
dead
No,
trees
I
that
was
are
there
years
for him, but I
old
just
and
didn't
they're
live
like
stream
tinder.
him.
And
Dude, Trump.
leaves and everything else.
He needs
you
to
drop
calm
a
down a
cigarette
little
in
bit,
there,
man.
the
I know, he's
forest
like a
burns
dog
up.
that's
You
unleashed.
gotta have forest
I know,
management.
What do you
dude. He's like,
believe-
I'm holding
what
him
do
on
you
his
believe
finger, man.
about
I'm
the
like, it's
science
not looking
of
good for you,
climate?
man.
I believe that
Fucking Biden. My son. My boy.
My son, my boy,
My boy. Don't talk about my boy.
my boy. I tell you what, Trump.
Really?
Now
I'll
my
tell you what,
boy,
man.
he's a good
Neither of
boy.
them said anything at all this whole time. They've just been arguing. They've said nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning more towards Biden. Didn't really say much. I mean, Trump he's saying points, but he's saying them at the wrong time. He needs to give
I know.
time. There's plenty of time to make these points, but when you're interrupting somebody and making a point, I mean, it works sometimes, but when you're doing that consistently,
Yeah.
jeez, it's like too much, bro.
Too much, man.
But
It's too much, man.
let's see.
Oh, damn it, dude. Update requires restart.
Let's see. Pause that right quick. Let me just see. Oh, what the H?
Oh, with the governor. But it's
Have you downloaded it yet?
I already downloaded it.
You said what?
I already downloaded it, dude. So I'm talking to this new girl, man, and like she wants to FaceTime 24/7, and I hate FaceTiming. I hate it,
Dude, she's actually watching the stream right now, dude.
Are you still fucking streaming, dude?
Because it was driving energy
Yeah.
prices through the
Dude, turn this shit off, man. What's wrong with
I want to
you?
stream. I don't know.
All right, well, damn, keep it up. I'm glad you told me, because I didn't say any bad shit.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. Now we can go to the worst stuff, when I get off the stream.
You're talking about a
No, I'm
Dude,
just
man,
kidding.
but I hate FaceTime, man.
I hear you.
I like my personal time. I like my private time.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, girlfriends that you don't live with, you know.
You don't
Okay.
have girlfriends, bro.
Yeah,
I
I know.
have a fiance.
I have a wife.
Oh, you have a wife. What is this cinematic? You keep them out. Skip! Skip! You can't skip the cinematic, actually. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, you can't. Ha! I'm already past the cinematic. Dude.
Oh, a knife to the face. Oh, that's pretty dope.
What did you do during the debates? I watched a little bit, but then I got bored and wanted to play Call of Duty.
Played some Call of Duty, make friends.
Yeah.
Friend, singular.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad all I got is you. That's all I need.
Molotov. Wait a minute. How does she have throwing knives and Molotov in her class? That's bullshit.
She's freaking hacking.
Yeah, she's a hacker.
Don't you like her outfit, dude? I think it's very inclusive.
I like her. Who's the captain?
I am the captain now.
No camo on your gun? Loser.
Who, me? Did you join me?
No, I'm talking about the guys in the cinematic.
One person has like a... Dude, did my thing freeze? Uh-oh.
No,
My game just crashed.
damn. Good old season 6, man. The gift that keeps on giving.
Gross.
Something
COVID.
new to my armory, apparently. New AR, what is it? Over there. Titties.
I ain't about no safe mode.
Titties. That looks pretty nice. Taka.
Uh-oh.
It's a soccer bundle? Why?
I'm getting another error code. That's weird.
Why, right?
Please tell me I can stream this. Yeah.
You can't.
Alright, I'll try it in safe mode. I think it's working.
Wait, it's not letting you play it?
Yeah, I have to try it in safe mode, I guess. It kept crashing every time I launch it. I don't think I have enough PP for it. Dude, safe mode is like so low res.
More PP, bro.
Yeah, I need to get some more. Where can I go download some more PP?
Toys R Us.
Toys R Us.
PPR.
You're right. Wow. Dude, this looks as bad as like playing it on the console. Oh my goodness. Dude, and I'm...
Oh, you're playing fucking console play right now, dude?
No, it looks as bad as console. Uh-oh. Come on. Graphics. I press graphics and it cancels out of the settings.
Why?
General. Okay. Audio. Okay. Graphics. Yep. It crashes out of the settings. I can't go back to my settings and adjust them. Okay. I guess I'll play like
oh
this.
my god, what is this? Man, I feel like they could have wrote this Call of Duty out for a lot longer than they did.
Uh-oh.
Like, honestly, if there was a new Call of Duty, I wouldn't even be mad because this is like so good. Solid Call of Duty.
What are you talking about, Modern Warfare?
Yeah. Like, I feel like this is a game that they could have ran with for a while.
I just had another crash.
What's going on?
You're
You have
in,
to
right?
Install and reinstall all your gigahertz.
It
all
might be
your
because I'm live
gigabytes.
streaming.
Just stop live streaming, man. I want to talk to you about some shit.